Okay, I'm Amanda Benson, and I'm going to give my demonstration speech, and I'll introduce my audience. This is my mom and my dad and my grandma and my friend Hannah. Okay, you ready? Can you imagine a world without sound? No sound of the television, or of your friends and family, or of children laughing, or of the birds chirping, or of the gentle breeze blowing through the wind, or of the sound of cars driving by, or the sound of the tornado siren warning you to get to safety. Well, this is the world that many people, those who are deaf, experience every day. And it can be very lonely because you can't hear the voices of your friends and family, or the little things that can bring you joy each day. And it can be very dangerous because you can't hear if that car is driving by when you're walking, or you can't hear the sound of the sirens if you know to get to safety. I have always wanted to sign, and I finally was able to learn sign language when I was a junior in high school when Darissa started coming to my church. Darissa is deaf because she had the disease called neurofibromatosis type 2, which causes tumors to grow all over her body. And when she was 11, the tumors grew on her eardrums and she had to have them removed, which caused her to lose her hearing. So she was able to teach a friend and I sign language my senior year, and I've been able to use that to interpret for her for church, and I've also been using it in Omaha to interpret at a church there. There's some very important things that you need to know when you're signing. Something that's very important is just remember that a little bit of sign language is better than no sign language at all. If you were in a foreign country and you didn't know any of the language and someone started speaking to you in English, then you would feel a lot more welcomed and a lot more comfortable, even though you don't know their language, that they tried to make an effort to get to know you. And so just making a little bit of an effort to know their language helps them a lot and encourages them. And just remember too, sign language is a language. Just like any other language, it takes a lot of time and practice to learn, but in the end, it's well worth it. Something when you're signing that's very important is facial expressions, because when the deaf people, because they can't hear your tone of voice, so they see your tone of voice through your face instead. So if you're happy, you're not going to frown your face and say, I'm happy, because then they're going to think that you're sarcastic and you're really not happy. But if you're asking a question, you're usually going to put your eyebrows down and have more of a quizzical look and say, what? Or how are you? Or you don't usually say, what? What? That's not the way that it usually goes. So, you just want to make sure that your facial expressions match the mood you're trying to get across. Something else that's important to do is to mouth the words when you speak. Because what the deaf people will usually do is they'll combine the words that you're saying and the signs that you're giving. When you sign, you don't sign every single little word. You usually just sign the main words that get the point across, and then they fill in the blanks. The foundation of sign language is the alphabet. So it's very critical to know the alphabet, because if you have any people or places, you need to be able to finger spell the names of those, because most of them don't have signs. Okay, so when you sign, you're going to want to use, if you're right-handed, you're going to use your right hand most of the time. And if you're left-handed, you're going to start with your left hand. That's not set in stone rule, but it's highly encouraged. So some basic phrases when you're signing. If you see someone say in church or at the grocery store that you see is signing or that's deaf, and just to maybe encourage their day a little bit, you can just say hi. And I think we all know the universal sign for hi is hi. You just wave your hand like you would to anybody. To say good morning, you would put your right hand at your chin and put your left palm out and just bring them together. That's good. And then morning, you put your left hand at your elbow and raise your right hand. That's morning. So you could say good morning. You could say how are you? So you put your hands like this and bring them in and out. And that's how. And we're going to skip the word are because it's just a little unimportant word. And so then you just point to them. How are you? So basically you're saying how you. And it sounds like bad English, but it's not English. So it's not bad English. Okay, another one you can do is if they would ask you how you are, you could say I'm fine. So you just point yourself and say I. And then to say fine, you would open your hand like a 5 and put your thumb on your chest. And that's fine. I'm fine. If you want to say please, you just rub your chest like this, and that's please. To say thank you, it's kind of like good. You start with your right hand at your chin, but then you just go straight out. Good, you go down, and thank you, you go out. And to say goodbye, that is also a universal sign for just waving goodbye. And if you know a deaf person and maybe they receive an award, or if they do a special music in church, to applaud them, instead of clapping because they can't hear it, you raise your arms and you shake your hands, and that's how you applaud for them. Because then they can see your actions. So, remember, it's important when you're doing sign language to keep your facial expressions to reflect your meaning, to mouth the words, and to know the foundation of the alphabet. And remember just these basic phrases of saying hi, or how are you, or good morning. Just each one just makes just a little difference in the lives of maybe even just one person who's deaf. And you can just encourage them in a way that most people in the world don't know how to. Okay, so once again, my audience, Hannah, and Grandma, and Dad, and Mom.